Who are the hottest and coldest teams in the Big 12 Conference? God knows there's a lot of hot ones to pick from. Damon and I are back with another Power Rankings. I know opinions are going to be had. Don't freak out about it. It's the AZ Wildcat podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. I am Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas, and we are the AZ Wildcats podcast, like I said, coming to you live from beautiful, lovely downtown Phoenix at PHNX HQ3. Kevin, the Wildcats are 2-0. The Big 12 is in full swing. And college football, man, what a sport. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. College football, pro football. Last night's football game between the Bills and the Ravens was absolutely electric.
Yeah.
Me and my friend, we like to do a little bit of a buy or sell segment just conversationally. Buying football, the sport, for certain. It is so back, and it is awesome.
Sure.
Last night's game was incredible. There were plenty of really fun games on Saturday. Arizona got a huge blowout victory. If you have not caught our post-game coverage, go check it out from Sunday morning, I'll say, because it was a late night game that this past Saturday. As we know, there was a rain delay. Damon, football is back, and we're here on a Monday with more power rankings, and people are going to probably be upset with us for, in my case, getting it right last time. You know what I mean?
People were upset with you, Kevin, to say it lightly. And yeah, you were pretty right. Do we happen to have those power rankings from last week, Kevin?
Yeah, we do.
Take a peek at them real quick. Here are your power rankings. Why don't you kind of walk us through maybe for the people at home that missed all of the outrage on Twitter, what went on last week, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I will get right to the main thing. Last week, as we all know, we've been over this on the pod multiple times. We're mostly bringing this up again because we're doing power rankings today, and it's prevalent. I had ASU at 8, Arizona at 7. People were up in arms. People were really upset. I even had, randomly Houston fans in my mentions being like, how could we be at 14?
Houston fans think they're really good.
That was crazy to me. But no, honestly, when you look at this, it's kind of the ideal ranking for the Big 12 Conference. Now, obviously it's my ranking. So
Not to toot your own horn.
I'm the one saying that, and things have shifted slightly. We'll see my rankings coming up here in a little bit, probably in the next segment here coming up. But yeah, no, people were in a tizzy over this. They were not very happy. They were all, dizzy with anger at me on Twitter. But I was right at the end of the day. I'm going to be wrong a lot. I'm not trying to say that I'm never going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong a lot, but this time I was right. And it felt really good when the more cowbells, were being rang than ever before. And my takes were just so correct in that moment. And I felt really good. But like I said, I'll be wrong a lot again this season probably. So I'm going to revel in it when I'm good.
I mean, I think, Kevin, as far as being wrong necessarily, we're talking about the Big 12 Conference, which is the craziest conference in America when it comes to preseason predictions. We saw it last year with Arizona State and how that played out. You get picked to finish last. You end up winning the conference. It was so up in the air going into this season. I picked Baylor. They looked horrific in week 1. Is Baylor all of a sudden back after their week 2 performance against SMU? Is the title charge back on for Baylor? It might be. So we're still figuring a lot out right now early in the season. But ultimately, yeah, those power rankings as far as week 1 power rankings go, Kevin, you kind of almost predicted.
Yeah, that felt really good.
Week 2 results.
It felt really good. But also, you know what else feels really good, Damon? We're 4 minutes into the show, and we already have 2 new members.
If that
Shout
isn't
out
a fact, Kevin.
to you, AZ Cats G. You know how we feel about you, AZ Cats G. Buzzer beater, the man himself. Thank you for becoming a member. Also, Candace Montoya, normally of the D-backs chat. Shout out to you for becoming a member as well. So, yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in, but especially our newest members to the squad, Damon. So I wanted to give them a shout out as well before we continued into this show. I think that
as they deserve, Kevin. But let me just tell the people at home real quick about what our supporters club is going to be, because it is a new thing that we're doing here at PHNX Sports. If you are someone that sends in super chats, this is basically something extra for you in particular. Costs $5 a month. So for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can become one of our founding members of the supporters club. You'll be given like a unique badge, and there's going to be badges and emojis that are given out to supporting club members that you can use in the chat. It's going to be really cool. And don't think of this as like a way that we're putting a paywall behind content, because it is not that at all. We are not, going to be, putting some stuff behind a paywall there for only the supporters club. Think of this as another way to just help support PHNX Sports, help support what we got going on. Obviously, local startup company like this, we could always use the extra money. And if you are a big time PHNX Sports fan, $5 a month, you get to kind of, signify yourself as better than the rest of the people in the chat. And I think that means a lot, Kevin.
And also, Damon, I think it's really cool because, like you said, we're not putting anything behind a paywall, and also you already give us super chats, and so this is a way to actually rep the amount of dedication that you have to your favorite Arizona Wildcats podcast, the AZ Wildcats podcast. So yeah, I think it's great that we're doing this, Damon. Also in the chat, let us know, what emojis do you think we as AZ Wildcats podcast got to work on, have the higher up make us, so that we can properly represent y'all in the chat with the emojis that you guys want. But Damon, I want to, before we get to our power rankings, I think we should kind of do a little bit of talk about Arizona. I know that, they dominated Weber State, and there was not too many notables from that game. But the big time notable was that Noah Fifita looked incredible against the subpar opponent that was Weber State. And now he looked so good. Now, obviously, the team that he played was so bad, and so we're not going to read too much into it. But I was doing some combing of stats, because, spoiler alert, tomorrow people are really going to be mad because we're doing a quarterbacks power ranking for the Big 12 Conference. And I was doing some combing of stats for that exercise tomorrow, and I found out that Noah Fifita right now, Damon, actually leads the Big 12 in quarterback rating, which means absolutely nothing at this point in the season. But it was like an interesting little tidbit that the Noah Fifita that we were advertised from Seth Dagey, from Brent Brennan, from 2023 when he went to the Alamo Bowl, seems to be back. Now let's see it against a team like K-State, and then let's see it again against an even better team like Iowa State. But it's really encouraging this past weekend that Noah Fifita has reemerged as the surgeon in the pocket that he once was.
Yeah, he definitely looked like the Noah Fifita of old. And when I say old, I mean, of course, the year of our Lord 2023, which was not too long ago, but it definitely just felt like, from a Fifita perspective, that he just had everything working, right? And it's exactly what I specifically was calling for before the game. Like, go out there, give us 70, 80% completion percentage, which is right in the middle of what he did. Give us 300 yards and get out of the game early. Get yourself some rest before a Kansas State game, and don't put too much on tape. Like, hopefully, and I would assume that, this is kind of what high-level play callers do, but hopefully Seth Dagey used last week as an opportunity to somewhat bait Kansas State next week into thinking that they're going to do stuff that they're not going to do. So when Kansas State goes back, they watch the tape, they say, hey, when Arizona does something like this, this happens. But it turns out Arizona is doing it completely differently and catches them off guard going into the week. Hopefully that's somewhat of what happened. I think playing a team like Weber State gives you the opportunity to do that, because almost anything you do is going to look successful. So you can kind of do stuff that you think maybe wouldn't even be successful against a Big 12 opponent. And like I said, use it as somewhat of a decoy. But big game against Kansas State coming up this week. And Noah Fifita gave you everything that you wanted to see out of him in a matchup against a very inferior opponent.
Yeah, no, he did. And I think I mentioned this on the post-game show, and I'm going to reiterate it here. The biggest takeaway I have about Noah Fifita and his reemergence as the Arizona, signal caller is the confidence level. Man, he looked so confident. I know he played Weber State in Hawaii, but he looked really confident in these first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was not a confidence level that we've seen from Noah Fifita as of 2024 with the struggles that this team had last season. His confidence was wavering, and I would say it really wasn't there at all at points in last season. And that had everything to do with the offensive play calling, potentially his lack of belief in the system that was being run around him last year, and just the lack of protection that he was receiving. But this year, all of that has done a 180, right? And now you have Seth Dagey instead of Dino Babers. You have new faces in the offensive line room. He loves his offensive line, it seems, this year coming into it. And I think that he really trusts them to protect him and allow him the time to make the throws that he needs. Because when he was given time against Weber State, I know it's Weber State, I'm going to keep saying that, but he was surgical. He didn't really make any mistakes. And the one mistake that was made was when Sam Olsen dropped the pass. That was his career highlight. And so Noah Fifita, historic weekend for him, great weekend for him. But most importantly, his confidence, his swagger is back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We also saw wide receiver Javian Nunu Watley kind of have his breakout party, Kevin, to the tune of 150 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, had those statistics basically at the end of the first quarter and added on. I believe he had one more catch later in the game. Did what Nunu did on the weekend change anything for you in terms of maybe what you expect out of this wide receiver group? I mean, I feel like we're going to be asking this question all season long just because of the depth at that position, the mouths that you have to feed, and the emergence of some good young players who are, vying for playing time, like the Gio Richardsons, the Isaiah Mizels, the Brandon Phelpses of the world, who, and I think you typically wouldn't really even expect them to be out there and getting reps. Maybe that kind of gets stifled a little bit once you start playing a little bit more legitimate teams. Like that was Arizona's opportunity to get those guys some live game reps as freshmen, sit them down the rest of the season. Brandon Phelps a little bit different. He's a redshirt freshman, but ultimately, like I feel like we're going to be sitting here every week being like, well, it was this wide receiver's time to shine. And do you feel the same?
I do. And I think to answer your question that you started that statement with, like, that is my biggest takeaway from the performances on the weekend is that we will probably be doing this every week about, like, who's it going to be this week? Is it going to be Trey Spivey? Is it going to be Chris Hunter? Is it going to be Chris Hudson? Is it going to be Nunu Watley? Is it going to be Brandon Phelps? Is it going to be Gio Richardson, who I know nearly missed a connection with Noah Fifita for a long, beautiful touchdown in that game against Weber State. And I know you and I were like, oh, that would have been awesome for Gio to get that in this opportunity early on against a subpar opponent to really have that confidence boost. But Arizona's receiving core is super deep, and whether it's one of the best in the country is not a question, right? Like, it's not one of the best receiving cores in the country, but I think what makes it so dangerous within the Big 12's context is that you have a bunch of guys that are right at about the same level of play, and they make it hell for each other in practice. And they make it hell for each other competing for that wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, hell, even wide receiver 4 depth chart spots, right? So the competition is really high level. The competition is really intense. The competition is really consequential to who gets snaps on Saturday, or in this case, Friday, right? So I think what makes Arizona's wide receiver room versatile and dangerous is that level of competition and that level of every week us having to come in here and be like, it could be Trey Spivey this week in a revenge game against K-State. But it could just as easily be Chris Hunter because we haven't really heard a lot from Chris Hunter, and I'm sure they want to get him more involved. But it could also be Chris Hudson because he's looked really good in the short amount of time we've seen him. Like we could make and reason out reasons as to why every wide receiver on Arizona's roster this upcoming week should be the feature guy or could end up being the feature guy. It's really impressive that Brent Brennan, Seth Dagey, the guys on this offensive side of the play call sheet have been able to retool that wide receiver room to this level. I think it really is impressive because when we were coming into the year, one of the biggest questions we had, and it was one of the reasons Arizona either could or could not make a bowl game, if you guys remember that show, shout out to the real diehards out there. The players that are taking a step up in competition level, Damon, their skill sets all, for the most part, to varying degrees, but they all seem to have transferred, right? It's about to what degree have they transferred, right? We don't really have any players off top of my head that we've seen specifically in the wide receiver room that are new faces that we're like, oh, that was a misevaluation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they nailed it with almost all the wide receiver guys they went out and got. And I feel like that's really impressive. I feel like it's hard to throw that many darts at such a high leverage position like wide receiver. And after such a season that was really disappointing and gave no wide receivers across the country any confidence that Arizona was going to be able to utilize them correctly, Seth Dagey and Brent Brennan were able to change that once Brennan brought Dagey in. I think that's really impressive. I think it's my biggest takeaway from the performance on the weekend of the wide receiver core is that it's deep and it seems to be real. Like, it seems to be, I know it was Weber State, but the actual skill levels, the speed that they were talking about, I see that too. So Arizona's going to give teams some problems this year in the Big 12 out of that wide receiver room. Like I said, not going to be one of the best in the conference, not going to be one of the best in the country, but it might be one of the more competitive in the country for certain.
Yeah, it might not have that like top end T-Mac level talent, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, but man, is it loaded from just the standpoint of you got about, it feels like we were saying like 7-8 guys. It might be like 9-10 guys.
Which is wild.
Deep. It is. It really, after last
season. You had
season,
1.5 guys last year.
Yeah, man. Like maybe like 1 and a third, like with the way, Chris Hunter came on late in the season. It's unbelievable. It's night and day, really, what we're looking at from a wide receiver standpoint. But, I think you mentioned something there to me that, like, I'm signing up for right now. The Trey Spivey revenge game.
I've been saying it all year.
Man.
K-State really looks like they could use a guy like Trey Spivey these days.
Inject that into my veins, Kevin. Please.
Mainline it. You know what I mean? Listen, dude. I think
just one of these.
He's got to have one of those. One of the ones that Isaiah Mizell had from week 1.
Boy, it's my football.
You're not getting it back. I think Trey Spivey should be featured in this matchup. It is his former school that he went to last season, and I think that we haven't really gotten to see too many flashes of Trey Spivey. We've seen it in practice and in camp for certain, but I think this will be the week that we finally see like a real Trey Spivey highlight in the game that makes us go, wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that's this week, and I think it could be this week against the team that he used to play for. He should be familiar with the DBs over there at K-State and should know some of the small things to do to get them off their balance and get some separation from them, Damon. But
you talk about it doesn't feel like there's really a missed evaluation in this wide receiver room yet. 100% agree with that. I think it's interesting. The two names that, I think we had most confidence in this season have been really the two most quiet guys at the position through 2 weeks. And I think that that's somewhat by design. Arizona trying to make sure that those guys are healthy and ready to go for what is a huge game in Kansas State on Friday. Standalone, national television, the whole country watching, the whole country thinks your head coach is an embarrassment, frankly. And how do you respond? You go out there and you kill the team that killed you on national television last year and kind of ended your season almost before it even started. And so you got an opportunity to do this, to kind of repay the favor this week. And I think, this is, if you get Chris Hunter, Chris Hudson, and you can get them kind of healthy, ready to go, this wide receiver core, I mean, it's so leaps and bounds better than what it was last year. I really liked what I saw, obviously, from Nunu Watley, who was graded by Pro Football Focus as the best wide receiver, I believe, in college football, Division I college football over the weekend. But you also had a good performance from Luke Wysong. We have seen the one Moss catch from Trey Spivey, but he has been a little bit more quiet as well. And then you have, the freshmen that we keep talking about. Those guys, they just perform whenever it seems like they're given the opportunity to. I haven't seen Gino Richardson really, I guess, make like a huge play, but it is telling that he's getting out there this early on, especially having the late injury that he had in his high school football career as well. I think it spells well for his long-term success at Arizona. But ultimately, really good game. Concerned at tight end, though. I mean, that's as far as wide receiver goes, I feel great about wide receiver. I did feel great about our tight end situation when Tyler Powell was healthy, because it was like, man, we got so many different types of options. We got like 4 guys that can play hypothetically. Now it's like, is Cameron Barmore, is he even like a factor at all this season? Is Sam Olsen, is he going to continue to have just baffling moments where you're like, man, how inefficient can you possibly get on a football field sometimes? Like Noah Fifita has to what I said on the postgame show, he has to stick it in between your eyeballs for you to catch it or something. Like Fifita's going to have to throw it into Sam Olsen's face mask so hard that it just shoves its way in there and counts as a catch. And so that's got to fix itself up a little bit. You need Kean Burnett. I tweeted it last week after our Justin Spears episode, you just got to have that guy in the lineup playing. And I feel like it's now or never for him in terms of, can he make his Arizona career a success now? Because, obviously he's a senior, I believe, right? But it's this is the opportunity. You just, the guy who you were next to at the position who figured to probably steal most of your playing time in terms of playing time available to be stolen. And, he's out now. Sam Olsen, as much as this coaching staff seemingly just gives him nothing but playing time, I feel like there's an avenue to pretty much be the by far the main guy at tight end for Kean Burnett, and hopefully we see it.
Yeah, no, I think the tight end room is really solid, but I don't think that it's in the same context that the wide receiver room is in, where you have a ton of competition because they're all just the same like level and they all just are a bunch of dogs. I think in the tight end room you have some real talent there, but there's a little bit of polishing that needs to be done to those gems before they can really shine. And I think Kean Burnett, like if I'll say it like this, if the best version of this year's Arizona football team is Kean Burnett, really I think being the best tight end. And I think
Totally.
I think that he is the most skilled. I think he's the most versatile. And I think that it's something that we've been able to see a little bit more with him so far than some of the other guys. And Tyler Powell going down for the year is super disappointing because he was the guy that really could challenge Kean Burnett for that spot. He was the guy that could keep that competition level really, really high. And I think Sam Olsen, now we're kind of in the same situation as you are last year at the tight end position where you need Kean Burnett to stay healthy, or you have a guy that you can't really rely in Sam Olsen. And, you know, I know some people think Sam Olsen is a little bit better than you and I do, Damon, but the guy that you think Sam Olsen is doesn't drop that pass on Saturday against Weber State, where Noah Fifita, like Damon said, couldn't have put it in his hands any easier if he walked it over and handed it to him and said, here you go. Here's 6. Put it on the board. You know what I mean? Like
it really is just the worst drop I think I've ever seen in my life.
And it was one of those where, like, I didn't want to say this on the postgame show, but, like, you know how when NBA players miss open jumpers, they're like, they were just too open. And it's like, maybe he was too, it was too, like, he
absolutely was too open.
You know what I mean? But it's like, that can't be a thing that we're talking about. We can't be talking about he's too open. He's supposed to be damn open. Good job, Sam Olsen. Now finish the damn play. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, Damon. I think the tight end room, you need Kean Burnett to stay healthy because you lack that versatility. You lack that level of competition with Tyler Powell down and out for the year. So, yeah, I agree with you on that, Damon. Should we hit our break and then do these power rankings so we can defend our honor?
Absolutely. We got my guy Travis Clones here in the chat. Kind of getting some licks in early here. Travis, stick around. You might like what you see on our Big 12 power rankings up next on the AZ Wildcats pod.
Simply professional transition from Damon Dog. And if you want only simply the best, only purely the best edibles, Pure Edibles has you covered in one of the over 130 dispensaries that dispense Pure Edibles is where you can find their gummies, their chews, their kicks, and their hard candies. And you might be like, wait, we're talking about edibles and we're talking about candy. Yeah, that is correct. This is not just like an edible company. This is a full-fledged candy company that also happens to do the fun stuff like CBN, CBG, CBD, and of course, our favorite marijuana-derived THC. I think, Damon, Pure Edibles, I'm going to say it. It's the Freedom States edible, right? Because you can clearly tap into any vibe that you want, whether it's unwind, uplift, sleepy time stuff, creativity stuff. They got it all. And if you want to share with friends, they're designed for that. They're designed to be ripped, bit, or shared so you can dial in that perfect dose for you. So go find some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries that dispense them.
Absolutely, Kevin. It's all about Pure Edibles, and it's all about chicken and pickle because, guys, if you haven't been a pickleball player yet, you're missing out big time. It's the sport that's taken over the world, I would say, and it's definitely taken over Arizona. Chicken and Pickle offers indoor and outdoor pickleball courts, delicious food, Sunday brunch buffet, yard games, a full bar with seasonal cocktails and local favorites, plus so much more. We've had a couple events out there at Chicken and Pickle, run some pickleball tournaments, and they have run smooth, guys. It's so great out there at Chicken and Pickle, right by the Cardinal Stadium out there in Westgate, and the indoor pickleball courts in Arizona are an absolute must because we all know how damn hot it can be outside. Chicken and Pickle, they fix that for you. They have great food as part of it and the vibes they come with playing in the sports. You also got a bunch of TVs all over the place. Great place to watch a game. Guys, check out Chicken and Pickle for the absolute best combination of pickleball, plus having a good time at a restaurant with your friends that you could possibly imagine. Family-friendly fun awaits. Visit chickenandpickle.com to plan your visit today. What's up, everybody in the chat? Please leave a like on this video if you haven't done so already. We got Justice Somerset in the chat, too. Kevin, Justice Somerset, former Arizona track star. He was I just know him being from Tucson, but Justice, appreciate you being here. Kean Burnett absolutely does have to improve his blocking ability. As we discussed last week, I was kind of given like college football 26 archetypes to our tight ends. And absolutely like Kean Burnett is that vertical threat, dynamic tight end. You want to kind of feed him the ball through the air type of tight end, but he's not that inline blocker that we had in Tyler Powell, which is why that Tyler Powell loss is so massive. Because as I said to Justin last week, I don't know how you replace that on this roster. I don't see a like for like replacement for a 6'7", 260-pound tight end in Tyler Powell. And so Arizona's probably gonna have to play a little bit different than they were previously planning on playing when they had Tyler Powell available. A lot less two tight end personnel, in my opinion, unless they want Sam Olsen out there on the field more, which I think that this coaching staff has proven that they do give Sam Olsen playing time. So maybe we don't see a lot less 12 personnel, but I hope we do.
Is Sam Olsen the Trey Townsend of Arizona football?
Correct. I've made that comparison last year. I made that comparison, I believe, with Trey Townsend during basketball season. We were doing a post-game show, and I think I said he's the Sam Olsen of this basketball team for me. And then Sam Olsen just picked up right where he left off, grabbed the baton right from Trey Townsend, and said, "No, hold my beer. I'm that guy." So there you have it. But Kevin, we do have a big game against Kansas State this weekend. Kansas State looks bad, really bad. They lost to Army. They barely beat North Dakota. They looked like crap against Iowa State. Like, I just don't, it's hard to trust this Kansas State team. How far did they fall in our power rankings? And how high did Arizona rise, or did they at all? We're going to find out here. Kevin, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first? My guy?
You can go first, Damon.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go first. Kevin let set the streets on fire last week, so I think we're going to let him have the grand finale this week. But I'll go ahead and start things off. I'm feeling pretty good about my rankings. I mean, I got 6 teams in the same place as last week out of 16. Most teams moving up only a spot or 2. I got Oklahoma State obviously in the last spot. Kevin, Oregon minus 27.5 was the lock of the week. And I gave it to you guys on a Thursday. You're welcome. I gave it to you guys last week, Oregon minus 27.5. Kevin, would you like to guess what Oregon's line is this coming Saturday, sir?
Don't tell me it's minus 27
It's minus 27.5, and it's against the Northwestern Wildcats. Just a little sneak peek preview into what my lock of the week might be for a third week in a row. But Kevin, let's get back to the power rankings. You got Oklahoma State just absolutely getting mollywopped by Oregon. That was embarrassing, 69-3, and Oregon didn't even score in the fourth quarter, I should say. That was 69 points through the first 3 quarters. Kevin, thoughts on 69 points?
Nice.
West Virginia loses to Ohio, only scoring 10 points in the football game and picking off Ohio's quarterback 3 separate times, Kevin, and they still lost to Ohio. They are truly a terrible football team.
And they lost their running back, White.
Yeah, they are truly a terrible football team. Squirrel White? Is it Squirrel?
And
or
Jaheim?
Squirrel on a different team.
Isn't it Jaheim?
Yeah, you might be right. Who's Squirrel? Squirrel's on he was on Florida State. Oh, he was on Tennessee. He's now on Florida State.
It is Jaheim White.
Jaheim White. Interesting. Looking back on here, I got UCF moving up a little bit after they killed North Carolina A&T. I don't think UCF's good. They did beat Jacksonville State by only 7, but they're undefeated, which is much more than what Oklahoma State and West Virginia could say. They're above them for me. Kansas State, this is where you fall when you look like you have so far this season. And honestly, it might be a little generous to them. Like, because UCF has probably deserved this spot over Kansas State based off of what we've seen this season, Kevin. If we're just solely going based off of anemic offensive performance to open the year, right, as the favorite, followed up by needing last-second touchdown heroics to beat an FCS school, followed up by losing in overtime to the U.S. Armed Forces, who just lost to Tarleton State.
They could easily be 0-3.
They easily could be 0-3. And, of course, there's if they were 0-3, they would belong, I think, maybe even second to last on this list. I'm putting them above these 3 teams here because I do, in fact, think they would beat all 3 of these teams below them. If you put a gun to my head, Kevin. in a very dramatic fashion.
Yeah, I'm about to say, which I would never do in a normal circumstance. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we'll see where I have them in my power rankings here in a second. But I think that Kansas State, like, what an absolute shocker of a start to this season. Like,
you guys stink.
I predicted like a little bit of a step back from K-State. Like, I didn't think they would step forward. If anything, I thought they'd stay the same or go backwards. But I didn't think they would like hit it full reverse and just pedal to the metal, go reverse as fast as they can. Like, it's kind of crazy. Chris Kleiman, like I was going to mention this during my power rankings, but 1-2 for the first time in his career. And like I said, it could have been 0-3. So this is foreign territory for Chris Kleiman and K-State. And it's going to be really interesting to see. I like Travis Holmes says here in the chat, if they will rebound, because it is a good program. It has been a steady program. So if they rebound, to what extent do they rebound? And I'm really interested to see that. And let's hope it doesn't start on Friday. Let's delay that a couple weeks, K-State.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about it all week, obviously, as we preview Kansas State throughout the week. And you know, today's really our recap of the weekend. And then tomorrow we'll go into our more preview type stuff. But I think we said it on the postgame show. Kansas State is going to give you their best game of the season, most likely on Friday. Like, it's a nationally televised game. They've had perhaps the single most embarrassing start of any like team with expectations going into the year, and you know they're gonna want to show up after losing to Army and perform much better. And as Travis says, you know, Travis being an Iowa State fan, having been in this conference with Kansas State for a long time, like they're a really good program, and they're probably going to find a way to bounce back at some point this year. Hopefully it's not like on Friday, like you said, Kevin. And yes, my betting hatred for Kansas State and them struggling does make for great content, because I lose all my money and then I come on here and I hate them even more. But Kevin, moving forward, yes,
that's why they landed themselves right here.
Our band list, and Missouri tried to get themselves on that band list.
Oh, they tried hard.
It was a little bit
Baylor tried really hard too.
Yeah, Baylor tried really hard too. Kevin texted me and was like, Damon, after his Missouri choke fest, where Drake, and by the way, Kevin still hasn't paid me back on his bet that he owes me, but
correct,
where Drake upset Missouri in the first round of the tournament, Kevin picked them as his survivor pick that me and him were going head to head. Lost in the first round, and Missouri almost lost him another one. We almost making the ban list. Saving themselves a little bit, though.
Crazy that they didn't make the ban list.
Kevin, moving forward here on my power rankings, Cincinnati moves up a spot after beating Bowling Green. They controlled that game, but they didn't really have an inspiring performance in the second half. I would know because I bet on their live spread, and they only won by like 14. Colorado, it was 10-7 at one point against Delaware. They also move up by default of Kansas State being so bad at football. They ultimately ended up kind of killing them, but I don't really care. Delaware, don't really care. Houston staying in the same spot that they were. Decent performance against Rice. 2 blowouts so far this year. Willie Fritz doing what he needs to do in terms of taking over this program and changing some things after last year's disaster class of a season. I think this Houston team is probably I think serviceable and a team that you don't just have chalk up a free win against when you play them. So. I still got them at 10, but really I would say like maybe 12 or 11 on is very much in a similar group for me until you get to the top 4. Arizona popping in at number 9, same spot as last week. I don't feel comfortable putting them above any of the teams ahead of them thus far, Kevin. I think like, we're splitting hairs here to an extent, but I don't know that I would call them a top half of the conference Big 12 opponent. When I look at the teams ahead of them, BYU has just handled both the teams that they've played, including, Stanford, who granted, Hawaii beat Stanford and Arizona beat Hawaii by more than BYU beat Stanford. So it's not like in the transitive property doesn't exactly work in sports like that all the time, but we only have 2 weeks to base this thing off of. So that's all we got right now. I think, BYU is just, like, they're just a little bit of a more solid football program. I believe in Sataki more than I believe in Brent Brennan.
That defense.
Yeah. I keep Kansas in the same spot because, they played Missouri tough. They probably should have won that game, but that's an SEC team on the road in a rivalry environment. And you were at one point looking like you were going to cruise to the W. So I like Kansas at 6 to stay there. Baylor, you move your way on up, and they flopped with ASU here. I had Baylor at 8 last week after their kind of pathetic performance against Auburn. Auburn now a ranked opponent. Maybe that loss wasn't so bad after
that Baylor
all.
bump.
Yeah, Baylor then goes into SMU and beats a ranked SMU team that made the college football playoff last season, and does so in an extremely dramatic fashion. That type of win gets you bumped up quite a bit in my book. I don't know how good they truly are. Their defense looks like it's probably one of the worst in the entire country when it comes to a Power 4 perspective, and that speaks very poorly to Dave Aranda, in my opinion. But Sawyer Robertson is so good at football that this team is definitely going to be at least one of the better teams in this conference. And then I skipped them there, but I skipped them because I want to talk about this one probably the longest, Kevin. ASU moves down to 8, and the fantasy season that was before it even ever happened is slowly slipping through their fingertips, and you just hate to see it. And that's why I'm playing the world's tiniest violin here, Kevin. Just so sad, so very sad. As you know, anyone that doesn't put you number one before the season is being disrespectful. Sam Leavitt's the best quarterback in the country. Sam Leavitt's the best returning player on offense in the country. Kenny Dillingham's the best coach in the country. Am I missing out on any, Kevin?
Kenny Dillingham's about to have a dynasty at Arizona State for the next 10 years.
Of course,
and be the
he's the new Frank Kush.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, like the type of crazy stuff that these people were saying to us all off season long, and we're 2 weeks in, and it looks like an entire. It's verbal meme. I'm in Jurassic Park right now, and I'm Jeff Goldblum, and I just took off my glasses, and I'm staring at a giant steaming pile of crap because you just beat ASU by 19, and your quarterback threw an arm punt to an FCS opponent in the process. He then scoffed it off in the post game and was like, I mean, not that big of a deal. I don't make mistakes like that ever. Did you hear that, by the way?
No.
This is genuinely what Sam Leavitt said after his arm punt that he threw against NAU last week, or 2 weeks ago, or I guess last week technically. And he was like, I don't make mistakes like that ever, so not a big deal to me. I'm going to watch the tape, fix some things, and we'll be back better next week. And then he followed that up by 10 of 22, 84 yards,
82.
0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 82? I gave him too many?
Yeah,
That's on me. I'm sorry. I apologize for that one. One of the worst quarterback performances you will ever see in your entire life out of Sam Leavitt last week. And that's why you moved down in the rankings. Because frankly, and Kevin, we're going to be doing quarterback rankings later this week in the Big 12, and I'm sure that's going to cause a stir. But frankly, your ceiling as a team is significantly lower when the guy that you thought was going to carry you all season long is not that guy. And Sam Leavitt's not that guy, pal. He's not. The defense is great. You still have a really good run game. Kenny is one of the best coaches in the country. I agree with all of that. But your quarterback was a system quarterback last year who caught fire late in the season. And now we're seeing what that looks like when you take away his binky, otherwise known as Cam Scattaboo, and now all he's got is Jordan Tyson and nobody's to throw the ball to. And that's why ASU is teetering on being a bottom half team in this conference right now.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Damon. I mean, I'm going to get into it.
Mother bars.
I'm going to get into it with my power rankings, but yeah, the ASU Sun Devils are not playing their best football right now, to say the very least, and it doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon in terms of real substantial change. You have Texas State coming up this upcoming week, should put a whooping on them. But it's like
they will, and they're going to call themselves back.
But it's like, what does that really entail? But anyway, Damon, finishing out your power rankings here.
Finishing out my power rankings as we get into the top 4. TCU fans, I am sorry. Please don't hate me.
Go Frogs!
I very much like this TCU team, and I jumped them up from like 8-3 after 1 week from my preseason poll to their win against North Carolina. I know they didn't play anybody, but man, like I think Texas Tech has just been so good. You got to give them a little bit of credit. And I don't know what would happen in a game against those two schools, but I'm leaning Texas Tech, and that's why I put them above TCU. It's extremely close. And TCU, you don't deserve to move down after not playing a game after you dominated your one performance of the year. But Texas Tech has dominated all 2 of their performances this year, granted against terrible teams. But I think Texas Tech is turning out to be a much better team than maybe I thought, even though I had them 5th, I think, in my preseason rankings, but whatever. And then just kind of wrapping this one out. Same as usual, Travis, I hope you're happy, my guy. Utah number 2 after they get another big time W. And they just, are killing teams in the process. 63-9 versus Shane Diefenbach's Cousins team. Ty Diefenbach in at QB and just 6 for 9, 82 yards and an interception, Kevin. Not the performance we were looking for from Mr. Diefenbach.
Got to give him more run, though.
You do got to give him a little bit more run, and he looked better than their other quarterbacks. But and then number two, I got Utah. Number one, I got Iowa State, who continue to look great, continue to have the only conference win in the entire conference, and that's why they're number one for me. They have the most important win. That's why, because Utah's been every bit as good as Iowa State, and Iowa State was in a close game versus Kansas State, who hasn't looked good this year. But, I think that game is set to be nervy. I expect Kansas State to kind of do similar against Arizona next week and make it like a very close game. But ultimately, that conference win it's the tiebreaker, makes you number one.
I love it, Damon. We're going to get to mine on the other side of this break on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So don't you go anywhere. Leave a like, drink some water, and we'll be right back. Because I got to talk to you all about our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
I've never heard of them, Kevin. Would you enlighten me?
Yeah, because, you've heard of a casino. You've heard of a sports book.
Sure, they only have them in Vegas, I thought.
No. Actually, the biggest sports book in the state is right here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, their BetMGM Sportsbook. You can watch all the games, all the matches, all the outings, whatever you want to call them, right? The events at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And if you're not a sports person, I don't know how you found this podcast, but that is okay because they have live shows, concerts, comedy, events, all types of get-togethers. Our draft party was held there. Several other people hold their draft parties at Gila River. It's just a place to get together and have a good time, folks. Gila River, where you do you. They have multiple locations across the great state of Arizona, the freedom state of Arizona. I am, a little bit more biased towards the V-Kiva location these days. Formerly a Wild Horse Pass man. I know my guy Damon loves Wild Horse Pass.
I'll never shake them.
Check out Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Lounge at either one of their 3 AAA 4 Diamond resorts and let relaxation take the charge of your weekend. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Play at Gila.com for more details.
Kevin, we do this show every day from the sweet, beautiful, lovely, pristine Circle K Studio K.
We do it live from Studio K.
We do. And in fact, you can get your live supporter badge if you become a supporting member of us on YouTube right now. So that's just something to look forward to if you're a fan of PHNX Cardinals and Johnny Venerable as much as me and Kevin are. But I got to talk to you people about the fine folks at Circle K, and I got to talk about the Inner Circle Rewards membership program, Kevin, because you got to sign up. It's just the easiest way to save some money. You save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Then you save 3 cents off per gallon at the pump every time you fill up after that until you reach premium status like me or Kevin and like all the rest of the crew here at PHNX Sports. And you'll save 5 cents off per gallon every time that you fill up at the pump. The savings are right there in front of you. And it's not just on gas. It's on meal deals. It's on beverages. It's on alcohol and nicotine products. You name it. Inner Circle Rewards membership program is going to help you save on it. Sign up today. It's this easy. Download the free app, plug in an email, choose a password, and you're done. It's so simple. Do it now. If you don't, you just hate saving money. And I don't know who hates saving money. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit CircleK.com for details. I know it says at participating locations, but I have not been to one Circle K where there isn't an Inner Circle Rewards program going on.
I'm sure they all participate, but probably for legal reasons. Like if you have one like out there in Alaska, maybe they're not running the same promos. And so maybe if we go out to, Kodiak, Alaska and visit a Circle K out there and they don't have the same promo, then we could definitely sue, for like false advertising. So I think that's, a little bit of legal jargon there, Damon. Just keeping your head out above the water there if you're Circle K. But check out Circle K. Like Damon said, they're all participating in the Inner Circle Rewards program. Don't listen to the legalese.
And check out the like button on this chat if you haven't done so already.
Don't just look at it.
Yeah.
Click it.
Well, look at it maybe for a second, then kind of, click the button, see the little animation on YouTube. It's cool. You guys won't regret it. Appreciate everybody for being here in this chat. As Tom says, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. G-Rod, real quick, what is ASU's AP poll ranking right now, Kevin?
Oh, they only do 25 teams. So
wait, they're not in it?
No.
But they have the best cut. But they have the best quarterback with the
Sometimes you just don't make the cut, man.
And coach.
I think they were literally 26. To be honest, I think they were literally 26.
They are 26. So, yeah, they are 26.
We joke, but they're going to be, if they beat Texas State and some other teams lose, they're going to be right back up in it. So it's fine.
Hey, Kevin, who am I? If one of these teams didn't exist, Arizona State would still be in the top 25.
Whoa. Did I just tune into the PHNX Sun Devils show?
Nailed it.
Whoa.
You nailed it.
That was crazy. Anyway, let's get into these power
The new
rankings.
if-men after Justin Herbert maybe is he escaped it? And now
Mr. Hypothetical.
It's trickled down to Anthony Totri, who happens to be a Chargers fan. Shocking.
Shout out to you, Trevor, who also saw Bookman on TV this Sunday for the Cardinals.
Bookman, Saul was locked in. He was
just real thinking.
I mean, and I get it. That was too close of a football game, but ultimately the Cardinals cover, and we all know great teams cover. Texas Tech isn't losing at all. Maybe right, Porky Rabbit. I think it could be very fair. I mean, Texas Tech has every shot to win this conference. And really, like I said, I think the top 4 teams, for me at least, have kind of separated themselves as who I think are the true contenders. Baylor and Kansas being right below them, and then kind of everybody else after that. But Travis says it's all about Clutch Rocco. That's why Iowa State's number 1. They're nowhere close to number 1 without him. Ocean View Coffee Shop, Arizona State underestimated Mississippi State. I think that's probably fair. I mean, I think that honestly probably is fair, Kevin. Considering that they got down 17-0 and they were talking so big all week, from their players to their coaches to their fans, like it was insane. And then what does it immediately turn to after you start losing? Oh, they're all a bunch of hillbillies anyways, and start being like disrespectful just because of where these people are from. It's insane. But hey man, we all cope in different ways. Sergio says, I was trolling Totri and those guys after their L on Saturday on the postgame show, and God, they were pissed. I can imagine.
I would have been mad too, to be frank. I would have been pretty upset.
Yeah, but
too,
I mean, Kevin, who do you have to blame when you place those expectations on the program all offseason long, and then they're not what you expect them to be? That's a product of your own doing at that point.
That's what I'm saying. I would have been mad too. Because I have no one else to blame. That's what I'm saying.
We lived it last year.
Yeah.
And I was lower on the team than a lot of people were. I said like 7-8 wins last year. And I think most people were like, what? This team is definitely winning the conference. How can you say that?
Yeah.
And I wish I was right because I was way off. But like there's nothing worse than having expectations and things just falling apart.
I'm with you. There is literally nothing worse than having hope and then it being dashed week after week on Saturday afternoon. Nothing's worse than that.
Yeah, and Sam, I don't know if you tuned into the postgame show, by the way, buddy, but I did do my Damon's Doghouse segment where I put, a character from that week in college football in my doghouse, and I rant on them for a second. And unfortunately, last week I had to put all people named Sam in the doghouse because Sam Leavitt and Sam Olsen shared the doghouse segment last week. We have Sam Leavitt, of course, who has a big enough ego for the entire Arizona State fan base. And then we have Sam Olsen, who dropped the worst touchdown drop I've ever seen in my life. And unfortunately, Sam, you had to catch a stray in the process. And I'm sorry, buddy. It was all Sam's.
Yeah, no, Sam Alberts, you were also thrown in the doghouse, like Damon was saying.
It sucks. It wasn't deserved. Kevin tried to say, like, maybe we just throw these two. And I was like, no, unfortunately, I think it's everybody whose government name is Sam or Samuel or some form of.
I fought
Samantha.
for you. I fought for you, Sam Alberts. I fought for you. But I understood what Damon had to do. Sometimes you got to make tough choices. You got to make tough choices with the people you love sometimes, and sometimes people you don't love in Sam Leavitt's case. But Damon, we are nearing the end of this here podcast. We have about 10, 15 minutes remaining on our time here. So we get to our power rankings.
Yes, please enlighten me with your ultimate power rankings, Kevin. All-knowing, ball-knowing. This guy, he's just going to tell you like it is. Without further ado.
Let me get in my Zen mode here. Let's break it down.
First off, let me just say, Kevin, having, was that 9 of the top 11 in the same spot as last week?
What can I say, dog? What can I say?
And then the 2 that are different, you just swapped them places. You almost have the same power rankings as last week.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels good. It won't always feel this good. So, chat, let me live in this. Let me enjoy this. You know what I mean? There will be times this season, maybe specifically with basketball season, where I might look stupid. You know what I mean? So let's just enjoy this, and let's all call me smart. How about that? Let's all drop a Kevin is smart in the chat. How about that? Damon, you agree with that?
I actually do agree with that, Kevin, because this is pretty remarkable. Like, I actually can't lie. Obviously, our bottom four look like exactly the same here, and I kind of went through the explanation as to why Oklahoma State, West Virginia both lose in embarrassing fashion. UCF stays undefeated against terrible teams. And then Kansas State, Kevin, why are they 13th for you?
Yeah, I'm just going to really quick run through the bottom four here. Oklahoma State got ran over by Oregon, like you said, but it wasn't just an awful loss. It was a historically bad loss for Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. Zane Flores does not look like the answer at quarterback, with Haas Haney not coming back anytime soon. And also, you got Mike Gundy talking ish on Oregon before the game, motivating them. Did you catch any of that, Damon?
I got a little bit of it, yeah.
I mean, it was literally billboard material. So for that, you are in the bottom, Oklahoma State. That was a horrendous weekend for you.
Didn't Mike Gundy pull up his shirt in his press conference on Monday?
Probably.
Like literally this week?
Probably.
Like I think I saw a tweet that was like, just checking in on Oklahoma State's press conference live. And it was literally just Mike Gundy just showing nip on a YouTube stream.
Free him, Gundy. Free him. And West Virginia comes in at West Virginia comes in at number 15 after just a horrific loss to Ohio. And, Timothy Chalamet's favorite quarterback, Parker Navarro. Jaheim White goes down early, and Rich Rod's squad is now rudderless. UCF, at least you won this week again, and Taven Jackson looks all right. Now let's move into Kansas State. You lost the time of possession battle to Army. Damon, they possessed the ball for 3 minutes in the second half. They had 2 possessions in the second half against Army. Kansas State and Chris Kleiman, that was a horrific performance against Army at home. Really, really bad.
It's one thing if you win the possession battle, Kevin, when you're scoring so fast that you're just giving the ball right back to your opponent. And obviously Army are a running football team. They run the triple option. Like, they're going to bleed the clock out if they're in any way successful. But if you're going to be in a dogfight with them and they're going to win the possession battle, they're going to win almost every single time.
It's like I feel like this is, not a stat that you could ever really prove. I guess you'd have to really go back in time to do it. But I feel like every time an underdog forces overtime, you know what I mean? You win that game, right? I feel like anytime you're losing and you force overtime, the other team, the dump of adrenaline is too much. And that's not even, it didn't even get that far, right? But just being in the game for that long gives Army the chance. And that is why K-State comes in at number 13. Just really, really bad from K-State. Houston comes in at number 12. Dominated Rice, their rivals, from crosstown once again. Fun fact, the Cougars have scored at least 31 points in 16 straight games against Rice and have won 9 out of the last 10 games against their rival. The offense looked kind of off at times against Rice, but a big win is a big win. Connor Wakeman has been fine, and they face Colorado this week in what should be a really, really fun game, in my opinion, to be honest with you. That Houston-Colorado game, 2 very evenly matched teams. We're going to see who goes higher or lower on the power rankings after that. And then we kept it the same at 11 and 10 this week. Cincinnati beat Bowling Green. Brendan Sorsby throws for 3, runs for 1. They got Northwestern State this week. Kansas after that. They'll probably be 2-2 coming out of that stretch. You probably beat Northwestern State, likely lose to Kansas, I would assume. So Cincinnati at 11 feels about correct. Caden Salter in Colorado comes in at number 10. They have been decent. They have the weirdest quarterback situation that I can think of off the top of my head. They were rotating guys on Saturday. Before the game, Damon, if you were a Colorado Buffalo fan and you heard this excerpt from an ESPN article about your quarterback situation, what would your reaction be? Quote, Sanders said he prayed about his quarterback room after a 27-20 loss to Georgia Tech in the season opener, and decided the best move was to give 2 series to each Salter, Lewis, and Staub and let their performances tell its own story and dictate who deserved to play.
Listen, Kevin, I don't want to tell anybody, how to handle their faith and things like that. That's a messy topic, but I'm glad my coach is not basing his quarterback battle decisions based off of what his prayer told him.
See, that's not even what I was getting at. I'm more so getting at if they say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. If you have 3 quarterbacks and your coach is praying on who he should pick at quarterback, I don't think you got any quarterbacks right now. And that's, I think, the biggest problem for Colorado, because you give it to Caden Salter. He looks decent all season. You know what I mean? And then you got Staub coming in, and maybe stealing the job. He looked really good. He looked pretty steady for Colorado against Delaware. And then you also have Juju Lewis, who's your big 5-star recruit, who was battling it out with Caden Salter, who you thought would be your other starter this year. And he gets like 6 snaps and is out of the game. And it's just the weirdest situation. After the win, Deion Sanders said, I know exactly, quote, I know exactly how I'm going to be able to handle this quarterback situation. He said, I'm not going to say it, but yeah, I'm not lost on direction. And he was lost on direction just days ago. So maybe it's Staub, maybe it's Salter. It doesn't seem like it's Lewis based on the snap count that he got on Saturday. But Damon, Colorado comes in at number 10 with probably the weirdest quarterback situation in the conference. And hello, old friend. Funny to see you here. Because I remember last week when I was sitting in this chair and I had them at 8. People said I was a psycho. People called me all types of things on social media.
Crazy things.
And then the Sun Devils went out and verified every single thing I had to say to justify my point as to why they were at 8. And then they come in this week and they look really bad to start that game against Mississippi State. And credit to them. You're on the road. Cowbells are swinging. They're loud. It's a thing that's happening. And that's a tough environment. But they played really, really bad in that first half. And now they get the field goal going into the half, and you're thinking, there's some life. Get a touchdown coming out of the half, you're like, all right. At this point, me and Damon are kind of like, they're going to win this game. They're probably going to win this game. Even though they don't look good, they don't deserve to win, they haven't played good enough to win it, they're just going to win this game. And their fans are going to be like, well, see, we beat an SEC team on the road, and we're the best. We're going to win and look. Then that post happened, David.
Then magic happened.
That post happened. What happened before that play? I stood next to you. We were watching this play, and I go, it's not going to happen, but you know what would be awesome here? Like a deep route that someone just gets toasted on, and it's 7 for Mississippi State. I didn't think that was actually going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm hoping against hope at that point.
I mean, you literally looked at me and said, man, we could just use a blown coverage right here.
And then
I don't think like it's fair to say it was like blown coverage.
No.
Because a post, I've said this before, I believe, on this show. Covering a post one-on-one as a corner is borderline impossible when you're talking about high-level athletes. Think about you have a guy running full speed at you for about 10, 15 yards. Then on a dime, he starts angling himself with a full running start. Meanwhile, you're backpedaling, and you have to switch your hips and accelerate up to his level of speed and read his route before he makes and make sure that he's not doing like a double move on you, because there's a lot of post double move type stuff. Like, it is impossible to do that. If you go back and watch the play, and Shane broke this down for us right after the game happened, Xavier Alford, who's perhaps their best defensive player, the blown coverage was him falling, and he was supposed to be a free rusher at the quarterback and get in the quarterback's face, at least throw the quarterback off his spot and make the quarterback have to kind of improvise and throw off platform. But because he fell, it delayed it long enough where that post is then just wide open. And, I think what's even funnier about it and more poetic is it's the same way they lost against Texas. And sign me up for ASU losing every game because they decide to go cover 0 at the most important play of the football game, at least every time that they're in a close spot. Sign me up for it.
Sign me up for it too. And getting back to my power rankings here, I have ASU at 9. Because I had him at 8 last week, and this performance was so porous, they had to get at least dropped 1 spot. The quarterback couldn't hit the side of a barn with a shotgun standing on a truck. You know what I mean, Damon? You couldn't. Sam Leavitt's performance was really, really not good. And now I think my reaction to it on Twitter was, maybe not called for, but also it was kind of funny. And also, I'm not ruling out that Sam Leavitt can't turn his season around and look really good to end the year, and people have people back on his side. But I think what me and Damon have been trying to say all summer is that he's never been the Heisman quality guy. He's never been the top level returner guy. And that's not fair because you guys put that expectation on Sam Leavitt. Correct. And now he's just being Sam Leavitt. And all of a sudden, the glasses were looking at him differently. You know what I mean? And I feel bad on some level, but not really.
We have yet to see Sam Leavitt be the guy that wins you a football game.
Correct.
We've still yet to see that.
I will say with any level of consistency, because I know Sun Devils fans are going to pick out a game where
they'll pick out. What about Baylor last season when Sam Leavitt had 3? Yeah, you could pick one of his 12 games from last season probably and make that argument for yourself. But he's not going out there and beating good football teams with him being the driving factor as to why. The only reason that Texas game was close is because Scat had a better passing performance than Sam Leavitt did in that game. Sam Leavitt looked good running the football in that game, but it's just, to me, it's like, you're right, Kevin. The expectations were placed on Sam Leavitt by ASU fans in particular, and they can wear it over Sam when it comes to, us kind of talking down on what he's done this season.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but getting back into the ASU, rounding up my validation as to why they are number 9 here. Like I said, the performance was completely underwhelming after another completely underwhelming performance against NAU, and ultimately Mississippi State. This is a 2-win team from last season. This is the worst team in the SEC, right? Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt were better than Mississippi State last year, and I think that Arizona State and Sam Leavitt made Starksville look like Tuscaloosa when they're playing Auburn. And they're ranked number 1.
My guy Kevin doesn't even know that it's Starkville. It's not even Starksville. No. Kevin doesn't even know how to say it. And he lost to him.
And we were talking about this pre-show, Damon. I'm not trying to say that Starkville is not a really tough environment. It is a really tough environment. But they had Sam Leavitt looking like he was in Death Valley out there. And he wasn't. He was in Starkville with 2 hotels and the whole thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, ASU comes in at 9. You have Texas State upcoming this week. Texas State's a good program. They're becoming a pretty solid, consistent program, but this is a chance for Arizona State to get right. If they don't, they're in a mess, because then you have Kansas coming up, I believe. That was Colorado that I said, or you know what I'm saying. But yeah, you have conference play inching closer towards you.
You got Baylor,
even
on
worse.
on the road.
Even worse. That could be a shootout, and we know Baylor can win a shootout. So
6:30 game in Waco.
Oh, yeah, they need this Texas State W like they need air to breathe.
They'll get it. Well, I have no question about it. They're probably going to put in a good performance this week against a solid Texas State team, but I don't.
And it probably won't go to overtime like the AZ Wildcats podcast today, because we're always going to overtime. I said we had 15 minutes left. Guys, I lied.
We lied again.
We just like to talk. So tap in with us. Leave a like.
Sean, you are hitting the nail on the head here. It wouldn't feel as good, and we wouldn't be talking like this if it wasn't for the way that Kevin and I were spoken to all offseason.
Dog, when I was hired at this company, I did not give a damn about no rivalry. I didn't give a damn about no Sun Devil. I didn't give a damn about no Twitter reply guy. But they make you this way. They put you in a position to where you're just trying to have sports talk, and they're just like, well, what about us? And it's like, what about you?
Kevin, yes or true? I got in an argument with you early on at this company because I was trying to convince you to hate ASU more.
We got in several arguments, not full arguments, chat, but we got in several discussions of him being like, "Why don't you hate them more? You're supposed to hate them so much more."
I can remember one time where I was legitimately like, "Kevin, they are despicable. We have to hate them," and you're like, "I just don't really care that much. I don't really hate teams like that." And then now you give Kevin 6 months of working on a U of A podcast, and all of a sudden, his entire life revolves around Sam Leavitt failing and ASU not meeting expectations. But Kevin, let's get into the top half of your list.
Let's get into my top half.
Who are the top half teams in the Big 12 conference?
Let's stop talking about a bottom half side like Arizona State. Let's talk about a top half side like BYU. And you want to talk about a defense, Damon? All seriousness, this BYU defense is for real. Real quick, some stats. BYU has allowed just over 200 yards so far this year. I think 212 to be exact. BYU has allowed just 14 rushing yards in 2 games this year. I'm going to repeat it. BYU has allowed only 14 rushing yards through 2 games this season and has allowed only 3 points to the two opponents that they have faced. I know it's Portland State and I know it's Stanford, but BYU comes in at number 8 because that defense is damn good. It has been doing its job. You can only beat who you play, and BYU is beating the hell out of the teams that they play right now and suffocating them on defense. I think BYU deserves to be here in the top half right now based on the performances that they've given, especially considering you didn't even have a quarterback, truly, coming into this season, and Bear Bachmeier has shown that he can do the stuff that you're asking him to do. Bear Bachmeier is not a special talent, but what he is doing right now is managing these games for BYU and making sure he's not losing games for BYU, and he's relying on LJ Martin in that run game. Excuse me, man. Phlegm is getting to me today on a Monday. God damn. But, like I said, relying on LJ Martin in that run game, I think is something that Bear Bachmeier is going to be able to replicate over the course of this season. Kalani Sitake's not ever going to ask Bear Bachmeier to do too much. The quarterback, number 47, has looked decent so far. So I think BYU deserves to be in at number 8. And then Here is our Arizona Wildcats.
Here come the Wildcats.
Number 7. You're sleeping on those Arizona Wildcats. I mean, what can I say? Like, they have been really impressive relative to the subpar opponents that they have faced, right? Like, coming into the year, we expected pretty much nothing from Arizona outside of looking better. And they've done that and a lot more. I think the offense has been really good. I think Daggy has re-injected life into this Arizona program. Tied also on defense for the second least amount of points allowed in the conference right now. Danny Gonzalez has this defense playing violently. And I think while Arizona might not be the best team in the Big 12 Conference, I think it can play with the best teams in the Big 12 Conference on any given night. And it's because of that effort level. It's because of that compete level that we keep talking about with Arizona. And Noah Fifita, I mean, just putting it through a keyhole any chance he gets against Weber State. Historic performance. One of the best performances we've seen so far from a quarterback this season belongs to Noah Fifita, and Arizona is in there at 7. And everybody else, including Arizona, you're staying right. You're staying put. Just park it. I'll see you again next week.
Kevin, you got him on the money. You don't. I mean, it's perfect. What do you need to change?
I'll break them down really, really fast. Thought about putting Kansas at 7 under Arizona, but Kansas go on the road against a rival SEC school. I'm not going to dock you points, even though you did sell. You did kind of blow that game, but Mizzou did fight at the end of that game and did keep playing and won at home. Tough result, but they stay in at 6. Baylor, that defense is a mess. Dave Aranda, the defensive specialist in air quotes, I do not know what to make of that defense. And you know, Damon, Sawyer Robertson looks like a legitimate Heisman Trophy quality quarterback. He might find himself in New York at the end of the year, and that offense could clearly get into a shootout with literally anybody. Texas Tech, Baron Morton looks really good despite his lower body injury that was nagging him so far this season. One of the best defenses in the conference. They're 21st ranked in the nation, and it feels legitimate. They have dominated their subpar opponents, but what else are you supposed to do when you're Texas Tech but dominate these subpar opponents? It's not a case where they're only putting up 27 points or 13 points against a really, really bad team. They are whooping on these teams. So Texas Tech comes in at number 4. TCU, go Frogs. They did not play this week. Coming off a bye week, so they stay there at number 3. I cannot dock them because they did not play. And the last time we saw them, they were the talk of the town coming out of that game against UNC. And Utah, they just keep winning and putting up points. Devin Dampier. D. Dampier looks really good. He looks as advertised. He looks every bit the player that Kyle Whittingham expected him to be coming into this new offense for Utah. And quietly, Iowa State, I mean, consistency to start this season.
You just deserve it.
Like, there is no easier selection on this list than Iowa State at number 1. They not dominate, but they get a decisive win in Dublin in a messy, disgusting game. Come back, no jet lag, no issues against one of the top 5 FCS schools in their rankings. Dominate them.
Yep.
And then you get the first W over Iowa, your blood rival in the Cyhawk game. First W in 7 tries at home. I think they were 0-7 against Iowa in their last 7 attempts in Ames. They were able to get a dub over there, in Iowa City, but in Ames, they were 0-7, I think, in their last 7 tries. So huge, huge victory. I know it didn't look like a stellar game. I was watching that one. It was a fun game to watch, but it was a bunch of Iowa football. And every game against Iowa is going to look like that.
Exactly
on top of it being a rivalry game, on top of it being the first time that they were able to get the W in X amount of years. Huge statement victory for Iowa State. Matt Campbell's squad is just rolling right now. Rocco Becht, our guy Travis earlier in the chat brought it up, hasn't been like otherworldly, like a Sawyer Robertson seemingly has, but he's been real steady for the best team in this conference, and he hasn't really made any true gross errors.
What he's really done is not put a foot wrong late in games.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's the steady hand that's allowing them to win these games. And so, yeah, Iowa State comes in at number 1 in my week's power rankings.
Kevin, it might be a perfect list. Just attacking some of these comments here. Sean, appreciate you for watching, my guy. Enjoy the PHNX Sun show. Sam says here that he might owe me an apology for saying that I believe he meant Jalen Daniels was better than Devin Dampier. Jalen Daniels was insane up to his last interception against Mizzou. Listen, I'll even say hand up, I have gotten Devin Dampier wrong thus far at Utah. I had questions about his ability to throw in this conference. I had questions about his size in this conference. Granted, they haven't played in this conference yet, but Utah did play a fairly big game already, right? And he looked really impressive in that game. So I probably was underrating Devin Dampier and just how good he is, to be honest. But that being said, I think that Jalen Daniels looks absolutely phenomenal, barring one mistake there. But cost the team the game in the meantime. But Jalen Daniels he does seem pretty locked in. Eric Brotherton says, not changing boxers until we lose. CFP. And I love it, brother.
I have some questions
just stay away from me.
Yeah, I have some questions about that. Are you not changing them in the sense that you're using the same ones, but maybe we could wash them?
No.
Or
no, you can't wash them.
Okay, but hear me out.
That's what it is.
Hear me out. What if they just don't leave the body? What if you just shower with them so that at least they're still getting soap?
I don't know if those are going to dry properly.
That's a brutal. I mean, we got Kobe sacrificing alcohol. We got Eric Brotherton not changing boxers, sacrificing hygiene.
This is what Wildcats fans are willing to do for their squad.
This is this damn fan base that I love so much, chat. Shout out to each and every one of you guys for being here today. I know Kobe and Eric Brotherton are sacrificing to support this fan base, but not everybody's got to drop something. You know what I mean? And I think, shout out to everybody in the chat.
Wasn't prepared for a follow-up there, Eric.
You got to be prepared for a follow-up when you say you're not changing your damn boxers until we lose. We might never lose again. Who knows? No, I'm kidding.
Up here in the chat, I believe it was Map asked, are we going to sell out this game on Friday, Kevin? What do you think? I believe capacity is about 50K. We had about 42K announced last week, but because of the rain delay, that was significantly lower. So kind of unfair to judge it there based off how late that game started. I'm thinking I don't know. I'm thinking 45. I think they get 45K on a Friday night. Standalone, national televised Friday night game. You're undefeated. You play a power conference team. I think they get pretty close to a sellout.
What up, AZ Cats G? And also, I think I almost want to say they sell it out just because it feels like a game that could be so pivotal. It feels like a game that if you win it, it could mean everything for the season.
Totally. Listen.
Right?
I hope they sell it out. For that exact reason. I mean, I'm the guy who stands up here every year and says that as great as our basketball fan base is, as great as our baseball fan base is, as great as our softball fan base is, as great as our women's basketball fan base is. I mean, look down through the sports. Arizona has probably the two best diamond sports fan bases on the entire West Coast, west of the Mississippi, and then you have one of the meccas of college basketball, and for women's and men's. You are consistently towards the top in women's attendance, even in the Big 12, let alone the Pac-12. But the football attendance is, it's shady. It goes up and down. It has its moments.
It's mercurial.
Great word, Kevin. If our fans could consistently show up and show out every single game, no matter what, do you guys know what the things that would do for this football program, man? The money that this puts in the athletic department's pocket, the resources that you could then use on recruiting and NIL and whatnot, all of the revenue sharing, once that becomes a thing, it's going to be huge. Guys, the money and fan support is the name of the game in college football, in college sports in general. And if Arizona fans can consistently give their team the edge in these big matchups, that would just go such a long way for this football program. Because we've seen it at times. When it's good, it's fantastic. It's great. It's popping. It's electric. The zoo's going just going crazy. But it's not always like that for football. And it's just it speaks to, I think, just the fickleness of the football fan base and just everybody. You know how it is, Kevin? Oh, our football team sucks. It could be the 2023 season and their two losses could be to Washington and USC. Both top 10 teams at the time, and you look great doing so, and your fan base still, because they're uninformed and they don't care, they say, oh, a team sucks. And it's okay, well, you lacked all the context of Jaden DeLaura was starting, now Noah Fifita's in, now they look like one of the best teams in the country. So it's, to me, I just need to see the fan base just it. To me, it would be kind of unacceptable if you don't come close to a sellout on Friday night. We absolutely need it. We needed to win on the thinnest of margins here.
I'm with you, Damon, and I think, when you're talking about the need to sell out, it's important for all the reasons you outlined, in addition to recruiting stuff, right? We've talked about it on the basketball side. Environment is huge for these recruits, right? What you experience on your visit lots of times truly does inform what school you end up going to. If you could imagine yourself out there in front of all those fans doing what you love most, right?
Yeah.
In the jersey that maybe you like or don't like, whatever. Like, it does matter, right? And I think that people notice fan bases that are coming in and coming out. And I think, Map in the chat asked how much sustained winning would it take for Tucson to get emotionally invested. Honestly, I don't even know if it's sustained winning as much as it is like a sustainable program at all. Like, I think like consecutive bowl appearances, maybe even consecutive bowl wins. I think like maybe 2 or 3 of those, I think people would really invest and stay. I think you'd create a whole new group of fans in that way, like how Rich Rod has his fans, right? People love Rich Rod in Tucson for life, some people, right? Because of the wins he was able to accumulate in Tucson. So I think if Brent Brennan can go to 3, win 2 bowl games over the next over the next 3 years, I think that would really create a hardened fan base for Brent Brennan in Tucson, especially overcoming everything he put us through in 2023. I think that's what it would take, because I think this fan base just wants to see, can we have repeatable success? I think as Arizona football fans, we've gotten used to, even before me and Damon were like an idea of being born, Arizona fans have gotten used to, hey, we're riding really high. And now we've had the worst season we've ever had. Hey, we're back to riding really high. And now we're back to the dredges in the dark dungeon. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Can Brent Brennan get us to just living on the first floor for multiple years, as opposed to going from the 3rd floor down to the basement once every 3 years? Can Brent Brennan have us at that lower lobby level of the elevator for multiple years in a row? I think that's what the fan base is really going to invest in. And I think, Max has also a good point here. The fan base is maybe a little bit traumatized from the Jedd Fisch thing and buying in so hard. Because I know I was super bought in. I could not have been any more bought in on the Arizona team under Jedd Fisch, under the Arizona program under Jedd Fisch, right? So I think that's what it would take, Map. I think you'd need sustainable bowl victories. The idea that Arizona can become a bowl staple in a way, right? Continue to make bowl games under Brent Brennan. And then I also wanted to address Eric Brotherton's chat right here that says, do we think we get a high or low scoring game from this K-State game? Can I ride the fence a little bit and say I think we get like a medium scoring game? Like, I feel like K-State has not shown us, I'll answer it in this way. Like, I'm leaning high scoring. If you made me pick, I'll go high scoring, because I don't think that Arizona is going to be able to shut out K-State the way that they've been able to suffocate, Weber State and suffocate Hawaii. I think that there's a little bit of return to the mean here defensively for Arizona, and K-State puts up some points. But I think Arizona's offense has improved so much that I feel totally comfortable saying that they'll put up at least 20 points in this one at least. So I think that we're in that, like, each team scoring mid to high 20s range. So I don't know if that constitutes a high or low scoring game, and that's kind of why I was like, I'll ride the fence. But if you gun to my head, I'll pick high scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on the matter, really, but I will say that I do have a little bit more confidence in the offense than the defense. And I think that's almost solely a factor of Noah Fifita is at the helm. Noah Fifita is at the wheel. And I trust that guy to go out there and win me football games, whereas the defense, it has some players, but also has a lot of missing pieces as well. And there's nothing you can complain about from what we've seen from them this season. They've looked unbelievable, right? But they also haven't played exactly the highest of competition levels. They played an injured quarterback, a very badly injured quarterback, who didn't play in this past game against Sam Houston State. And then, you have a
football program,
a team that plays football.
One of the teams in the country.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about this Kansas State game, how Arizona gets the W against the Wildcats in their 3rd matchup of the season. Throughout the week, not a regular week. The game's on Friday, so we're going to be doing Monday through Friday shows instead of Wednesday off this week. We will be, obviously Monday today, but Tuesday through Thursday will be at 2 p.m. the rest of the week. Friday we'll be doing pregame show 30 minutes prior to kickoff, and postgame show 10 to 15 minutes after the clock hits 0.
And Damon, on Wednesday, I'm going to drop it here because we're an hour 18 into the show. And if you are watching right now, you're one of our diehards. You love to talk Big 12 football and Arizona football with us. But maybe you love Big 12 and Arizona basketball too. And on Wednesday, we got Anthony Dell'Orso coming on the program, folks. So,
ever heard of him?
Ever heard of Anthony ADO Dell'Orso? How about that? So, yeah, look forward to that on Wednesday. We're not taking a day off like we usually do in the middle of the week. We're just going straight through, Damon. Damon especially is just going straight through this week. just working.
I got 12 days in a row here at this beautiful, fine office that I love so much.
He is our beloved content king, Damon Dog.
That's what I do. It's what we do. We are the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am Damon Fairall. That is Kevin Thomas. You can follow him at KevoPost. You can follow me at Damon Dog. And you can follow us at PHNX_Wildcats. Kevin, so excited to bring you your premier Arizona Wildcats coverage from throughout the week. We will be live, like I said, for our pregame show later on in the week at 5:30, 30 minutes prior to the opening kickoff. Then we will be doing postgame show on a Friday night. But we got 2 p.m. shows all throughout the week before we get there. Talking to Anthony Delorso on Wednesday. Perhaps a special guest tomorrow. Maybe. We will see. And of course, we'll bring our guy Justin Spears on at some point to recap what we saw on Saturday. So, Kevin, that's going to do it for us today. You got anything else before we get out of here, my guy?
I do not.
All right. Well, you heard it.
Oh, wait. Actually, I genuinely do. This Friday is not like last Friday was the land acknowledgement game. This Friday is the retro night at Arizona Stadium. And did you see Brent Brennan's new jacket?
No.
Well, now,
I bet this is
now
fire.
you have. Jenna Fink, we're getting this from @JennaM Fink on Twitter. Brent Brennan opened his press conference by saying, "Y'all feeling my jacket? I'm going to add a gang at the end for him, parenthetically. Y'all feeling my jacket, gang?" Quote, Brent Brennan. Because, that jacket is absolutely fire. I think they should have gone like...
That's a Dick Tomey jacket,
I know that is like an actual throwback, jacket there, Damon. But I think if I'm running retro night, how fire would like one of those old like NFL like paper cup wash style, you know what I mean? And the college with Arizona's colors, it would look beautiful. Yeah. Like that 90s style of NFL track jacket would have gone crazy.
Trevor, you caught me. It's LeBron. We got LeBron coming on the show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Everybody be there.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
I can't believe you got there yourself, brother. But actually, Trevor, that is bucket list. We're trying. We will very much do everything in our power. Probably not LeBron, but we'll try to get Bryce on this show. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
There is also going to be a drone show.
Leatherman jacket would be fire. Drone show after the game. Appreciate everybody for being here today. Unbelievable viewership. Chat was popping. Having a great time. We love involving you guys in our discussion here. Thank you so much for being here. Leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Appreciate everybody for being here. And as Max said, tomorrow it's Taco Tuesday. And we're going to be live at 2 p.m. on the AZ Wildcats pod. Until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. How far can ASU fall down the power rankings next week, folks?
We all silly like the mayor.